What's going on? It's your boy Jay every day, and you're watching Jyrah Web TV.
Grace and peace, Brother Calvin.
Just call me Cal.
Oh, is that the feeling that we're going with today?
Look, can we just get right to it?
What is all the aggression for? Is that why we couldn't meet in the church?
You know I ain't setting foot in nobody's church.
And that's all your mother asked for?
Yeah, and even she knew that church wasn't for
You. Look, your father was a
deacon in the church right here for over 40 years. He set him under your father and under you, and neither one of you moved him up. He was under your dad for like 30-some years, and then another 5 or 6 years under you. And neither one of you thought that maybe he might not want to be a pastor too?
Calvin, God didn't show me that. And your father, he certainly never showed any interest in being anything other than a deacon.
Why would a man have to come to you and ask?
My door, my heart, and my ears were always open for him.
My father, or rather Deacon Charles, stood 10 toes down for all of you.
The great Deacon Charles, as I called him, to his face, and I addressed him at his funeral, stood 10 toes down for God. The only things your father shared to me as his pastor was the love for God, the love for his family, and the love for this church.
And that's the very church that destroyed his life. How are you going to make sure that every light switch and knob is working perfectly at the church when you got a toilet at home that ain't working properly?
Remember, you have some serious issues going on inside.
No, I ain't got no hurt going on.
You reached out to me to talk to me about your ministry.
Yeah, I wanted to know, why isn't the church playing for the whole funeral?
Who said we weren't?
Well, I heard.
Why wasn't that the first thing that you said to me?
Look, my mother and father never missed a Sunday with their tithes and their offerings here. As a matter of fact, they made sure everything was good at church, even if it wasn't at home.
Yeah, they did.
I remember the days of me and my brothers and sisters all huddled together, cold and hungry.
Can I please fill you in on some things? Because it's very clear to me that your siblings did not. There were days when the church stepped in for your family and many other families.
I don't want to hear nothing about no other families.
Well, that's what keeps others blessed, and many of us different. Your father cared, your mother cared, and you better believe me and my father cared as well.
You just don't get it.
No, you need to get it, because my family struggled too. But your father, he stood strong, and he said no. I want you to give it to other families that need it more than me, because he stood hard on his faith, knowing that he would be good for the weak.
No man should let his family go without, let alone starve.
I'm sure you weren't starving. Now, you might not have liked what was put in front of you, but you had food there.
What you want me to say? Preach, Pastor.
You are so caught up in what you think you know.
So now you're telling me what to feel.
I'm not telling you anything. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me go. You be blessed.
You forgot to tell me that you're praying for me.
And that's the last thing that your mother asked for. All she ever wanted was for her children to be covered by God.
I'm tired of hearing about what comes out of this church. My father, for years, had to watch his best friend and his pastor pass him over to make his kids co-pastors. Now you know, you and your brother should not be pastor over all those men that sit in that front row of that church every Sunday.
There is nothing negative that you could say to me that would be the equivalent of all the terrible things I've done to God. So if God forgave me, then surely I can forgive you for the little things that you do.
Yeah, but wrong is wrong.
If you have an issue with me being a woman pastoring over the church, then
You know that there's no way that you can live a life without offending somebody, or live it and not be offended yourself.
Brother Calvin, there is no way to live in this world without being offensive to someone. But you know what the disappointing thing is? Is that it's the ones that we give the most time to, those are the ones that hurt us the most.
And you said that to say what?
My brother, you can continue to live in revenge, or you can ask God to cleanse you. Now, you know my number. If your family wants to get in touch with me about the services for Mother Charles, I will be happy to speak with you whenever.
Well, I will do that. And you better bet I'm going to be there.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that. You have a nice day.
Oh, and by the way, you know the reason I didn't make it to my father's going home service was because I got a letter from my mother. She told me that she didn't want me to show up at the church, paying final respects to my father, in handcuffed and chains.
I understand that. Look, I worked diligently with the correction services and the local precinct to make sure that this was available for you.
Okay. God's mercy, I guess.
Calvin, the church is not a place that lives on just judgment. The church is a place that lives on confrontation and forgiveness.
I can't pretend what happened didn't happen. I can't sit there on a ministry that offended me.
All I can say to you is that be glad that we still have God. Because with that, we know that there's always the chance of reconciliation.
My dad used to sit us down every night and play pastor. And we'd have to sit there whether we wanted to or not. And he would harp on and on about forgiveness or being forgiven.
That's it right there. What he preached on, that's your start for today.
All I do is feed my thoughts of get back. I'm not trying to hear from God no more.
Maybe God is not even saying anything to you right now. Maybe you just need to stop, and you won't hear his voice until you talk to the people that are down here first. Calvin, Galatians 6, verses 9 and 10 says, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we just don't give up."
And let us not miss this opportunity to do good,
Especially those who belong to the family of believers.